So this is the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and it's been on the market for about 1 year now next month. So I'm going to go ahead and share with you, as an owner of this phone since day one, my honest issues with it. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Let me state something really quickly. Although I review a ton of phones on this channel, my SIM is always in my main iPhone, and for the past year, the SIM has remained in the iPhone 15 Pro Max, besides a couple of test runs I did with a whole month of use on like the regular 15 Pro, a couple of months of use on the 15 Plus, because I do have to test those as well to give you a fair analysis. But I keep coming back to the 15 Pro Max, and don't get it twisted here. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to own one of these and for it to be my main iPhone. It's a blessing. So don't take this out of context, think I'm whining and stuff like that. I just want to give a fair analysis, and I'm always praising this device. And I feel like it's time to share some cons I have with it. Maybe Apple will see this video and add some of these features in the future. So let's talk about the first one, heat management. The very first day I got this phone along with the iPhone 15 Pro, I don't know what it is, maybe it's the new structure or whatever, the titanium. I don't know. It just felt a lot warmer to the touch. It usually gets warmer right up in this area, right over here. But definitely, it's not only been fixed in a couple of updates, but when I got into the iOS 18 beta, it started to come back, that same heat that I originally experienced in the beginning. So they did fix it in some official versions, but they had to throttle down the GPU in gaming to achieve that. So this phone actually cannot reach its full potential all the way because of the throttling Apple has to do to keep the heat management down, after the media was discussing how toasty these 15 Pros get. And occasionally, if I'm using this heavy or plugged into a charger, it still can get toasty sometimes. So definitely, that's not my favorite thing about this phone. And a whole year later, that's an honest issue I actually dealt with this device. So definitely, I want to see very big improvements to the heat management. I never really experienced this on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, which was my previous favorite. 14 Pro Max was okay, but definitely didn't experience that as much either on that phone. So that needs to be back to the way it used to be. All right, so battery capacity. I'm at 99%, which is okay. Some people are probably lower than this. I do a lot of maintenance with my battery to make sure I don't cycle it too often, but definitely this phone has a capacity that drops a little faster than I would like. And a lot of people have mentioned in the comments that why is their iPhone 15 Pro Max at like 93 after just like 5 months? So it's going to be down to your cycles, but definitely it's an issue for some people. And I think if they can improve the battery and cycling, that would be a really good improvement to the next iPhones. Maybe make a bigger battery that doesn't drop its capacity as fast. So I feel like this one dropping a little faster than I would like. It's kind of an issue, not a major one for a lot of people, but definitely something I would like to see improved. So my third one is not really a technical issue with the device itself, but I would like to see Touch ID on a future iPhone along with Face ID. I just think the button is in the perfect location for a Touch ID scanner. It would make another way to get into the device and make it even higher end. You have a Touch ID and a Face ID. That would be freaking amazing for a Pro iPhone, especially considering the prices we pay for these phones. Like, they're well over $1,200 these days. So I don't get it why it's not there. And it's just something that I want to see going forward. I feel like it would elevate the experience, especially when you're authenticating, inside of App Store or applications. You'll have that ability to do so. But because there's a Face ID and a Touch ID, I'm pretty sure you would have to choose which authentication method you'll want to use, because then the applications that are authenticating might get a little confused. So we might have to pick one or the other. But still, it would be nice to have that option right here. And that's my third reason, third issue that I take with the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Next one is a very massive one. It's becoming very evident amongst the marketplace, and even people who are iPhone users of a long time are starting to get annoyed with this one that Apple keeps avoiding. And that is the split screen here. Now, where is it? It doesn't exist on this phone, and every single phone basically that competes with this has it, including the Pixel, including the Z Fold, including the S24 Ultra, including all the Samsungs, basically OnePlus phones, basically everything on the market has a split screen, but this phone right here, it just makes it feel pretty old without having that. Like, where is the split screen? Especially on the Max. It's a Max phone and can't even do a simple split screen. Very annoying. Also, consider this. I understand that some of those phones, Apple wants to keep it simple. Some of those phones with all their 3 split screen multitasking and all this, like, everything apps, that's messy. We get it. But there's a way to implement a split screen that is basically more simple. Look at the way Pixel does it. They only allow 2 on there and it's pretty clean. But just one app at a time. This definitely is something that really irks me a lot. I have to use a second phone now, because I'm trying to do things, 2 things at once, 2 apps at once, occasionally, to get more efficient and productive. And this phone just slows me down. It really does. And because of that lack of a split screen. So one app at a time just gets really old, really fast. So especially when there's phones out there for lesser money that can do such a simple split screen. And they've been doing it for years. So I really, really hope in iOS 19 they bring split screen. Once again, I feel like I'm saying this every year, but I really want that next. Despite the weight reduction of this phone, it still feels like a big slab. So I do understand where the rumors are going with Apple potentially bringing an iPhone Air. I definitely see that becoming a really popular choice, a super thin, light iPhone that's big. That I think is going to be a super hit, because even though they lightened it up with titanium, I think it's just hard to make it even lighter and thinner. But let's see where they go with the next version. I've been loving the Z Flip, and now it's thicker when it's closed, but just this portable nature of it just kind of fits in the hand so small. This phone just feels like a big behemoth still, even with its lighter weight. It's just lighter than before, but still quite a big brick, big slab to hold in your pocket right here with the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Of course, they do have the smaller 15 Pro, I understand, but I like a big screen with a lightweight. Like the Z Flip, for example, is only 187 grams and it flips in half. This one is like 220-ish. It's around there, so heavier and doesn't fold or anything like that. So definitely, I'm looking forward to seeing a thinner iPhone and lighter iPhone in the future. All right, so I've been very, very happy with the iPhone 15 Pro Max's zoom quality, all the way up to 5 times, and I've never really felt like I needed much more than this. But I do wish this had 10x zoom, because the competition, a lot of phones that compete with this, can zoom even further than this phone. So there's always room for improvement here. It wasn't a huge issue, but it just feels like the reach is still too low to compete with the best of the best, like S24 Ultra, for example. I do want to see 10x on the next Pro Max or larger iPhone. I think it would be great to see an equal competitor to the competitors in terms of the Apple landscape. It would be awesome to have a 10x, and then maybe this thing could go 50 times zoom. That would be insane, considering the iPhone does have some of the best set of cameras and video cameras on the market today. It definitely would elevate the experience for the next one. So not a real major issue, but I just wanted to mention it as something I think that can be improved for this phone. Although the zoom was a really good step in the right direction for the 15 Pro Max finally. So this one has been a true issue for me. It's not going to be probably shown in this video, and iOS 18 does actually increase this, but I'm talking about bugs, just random app crashes. They actually occur even on the iOS 17 versions, the official versions. Out of all the flagship phones I used in this past year, I have to be honest, the iPhone 15 Pro Max had quite a few just random glitchy app crashes. There's no issue with the animation, smoothness, nothing like that. It's one of the smoothest, if not some of the butteriest, smoothest animations out there. But definitely the phone itself, I would just be using an app and it would just crash. Like, it's just weird. It just happened too frequently, probably once or twice every 2-3 weeks. Didn't like that. It didn't feel very premium when it did that. Also, I don't like how some of my Google apps don't work really well on here, but I'm not going to blame Apple for that. I mean, Google probably is optimizing their apps better for Pixel and Android devices. But some of my Google apps don't work as smooth on here as the Android devices. But yeah, definitely a few app crashes. I hope they get the software a lot more polished. This is iOS 18 beta right here. We also have the new Siri on board. You can see it right there in the background. But definitely, this is something I would really hope that they really polish up for the next iPhone 16 models, is just the overall stability of the software. Now, this is one thing I'm not a major fan of. The photos tend to over sharpen sometimes, and while that's a really good look for sometimes on social, you kind of see when you zoom in, they just look a little bit over sharpened, like you took the sharpness slider and you just over sharpened it. I really don't like this effect on selfies and stuff like that, because it kind of just makes the wrinkles or whatever in your skin just come to life. And I'm not a fan of that. So I hope they tone down the sharpening a little bit. Let me do a little bit of my own sharpening. I know there's like algorithms and stuff like that that are basically in the background making these photos kind of try to look a little bit better, but I wasn't a big fan of that. So let's go ahead and take a photo really quickly here of my Apple Watch Ultra. Nope, not the 2, just a regular one here. And we'll go here and you'll see, so look at this right here. This is how it actually looks in reality. You can see a little bit darker, a little bit sharpened right there. Like, still very good photo. I'm not really mad at it or anything, but kind of just adds a little bit more sharpening than I would like on this phone. So that's just a tiny little thing. It's not like huge. This is still probably in my top 2 cameras. I'm taking out this one and the S24 Ultra when I go out and about. Third in line would probably be the Pixel, even though that has some great photos as well. In certain areas, that's even better. But yeah, this is still in my top 2 for sure. It's just I want to see a little bit less over sharpening effect on this. My 9th thing, and further talking about the camera, is the camera still exhibits some lens flare sometimes. It's not very common, and it's kind of hard to overcome this issue, but lens flare does occur occasionally still on this phone, which is not too frequently, but it does happen. So I just want to mention that. And at number 10, this thing feels more delicate than before. This has been a thing that has really concerned me about using this phone just because of the price. I get nervous to take this out without a case. This back material just looks like if you kind of drop it, it's just so thin and it just feels like it'll crack much easier than the iPhone 14 Pro. So for that reason, I'm not taking my chances. This has been in a case since day one. You probably wonder why in the video it's not in a case. Well, that's because the 15 Pro Max here is going to be just right here in front of me. I'm not like going to drop it on the floor right here. We got the nice desk right here, so it's not going to do anything like that. But definitely this just feels a little bit more delicate. This is definitely one I recommend to put in a case for sure if you want to protect your investment. All right, so wrapping it up. This is a video discussing the issues. So this is not one praising the device. I have 1,000 videos praising this device. I still love the phone overall. I love the screen, the minimal bezels, the speed. iOS is beautiful. Love the polish of iOS. iOS 18 is now much more fun to use. Amazing camera set, amazing video quality. Just really nice titanium finish. Doesn't get all those like nasty scratches. You don't see them as much over here. Great zoom improvements, great battery, great standby. There's so many things to praise about this phone. It's been excellent. Those were just a few of my honest issues after a year, and some that I hope get proved in the future. It's such a mature product, and I feel like there is some room for improvement, as we talked about in this video. And Apple's really reaching the pinnacle. Like, they're so close to like perfection on the iPhone. There's just a couple of things they need to do, and it's basically flawless. So thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know your thoughts, your honest issues after a year, and some of your favorite things about your iPhone 15 Pro or Pro Max. I'll catch you on the next episode. Thank you very much for watching. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.